dual media. It's got 2 medias. Some have 3. This has 1. I can only tell you about these because these are the only filters I've ever used. That Green Meadows in here, anthracite and sand. I don't know the other filters. Just remember too, it's not what's on top of the water, it's what goes through the filter on the bottom, because it looks pretty nasty on top. Because everybody freaks out about that. See how green and nasty it is? But once it goes through the anthracite and sand, it's pretty clear.
It's so much better than it looked in the clarifier.
Yeah.
Being like all yellow.
See now this filter, once it gets up to, you can see that line right there? That's a sonar thing right there, transmitter. Once it gets up there, it'll automatically backwards. Once it gets up to 10 feet.
Oh, okay, good. So it lets all the water drain through and then backwashes from there? Or?
Exactly. It'll drain it, send it to that. We didn't go over there, but that's the reclaim tank, that metal one. And then it'll backwash. It'll drain down for 15 minutes. We've got to set the backwash. What's that?
What's the flow rate at?
That I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. To backwash these filters, 900 gallons a minute. Yes. Sorry, can answer that.
All right. How often do you backwash?
Depends how much carryover you get from the clarifier. It probably goes about, this filter's probably ran close to 72 hours. You never want to go over 10 days, but between 48 and 72. It all depends on how clear that is coming from the clarifier into here.
What would you guys say your biggest problem is with the influent water?
With what?
Or what's the hardest thing for you guys to get rid of in the influent water, like the biggest challenge? Is there any like particular?
No, I'm trying to understand your question here. Hardness is the biggest thing to remove with lime salt. Our old plant, the reverse osmosis, does a much more efficient job of removing the hardness. Here, our hardness is still 180, and that's considered hard water. You want to get below 80, and that's considered soft water. RO plant, that's how I can tell where the RO plant is. If I'm out in the system and I want to run a sample and I can't tell if it's from Waterway or the RO plant, all I have to do is run a hardness. Their hardness is 50.
Wow.
Where mine is 180. And then if it's like, I don't know, if it's like a, 95 or 80 or something like that, I know it's a blend of the water from here and the RO. It's where they kind of meet. So that's how I can always tell when I'm grabbing a sample where it's coming from.
Okay.
Hardness. Lime softening, these plants are going to go away.
What's going on with this? I assume there's 4 filters?
That's out of service.
Out of service?
As you can see where the weirs are, they're anthracite. There's a nozzle underneath there, and one of them is blown or something. And it's not cost effective to fix it because we can make it on 3 filters.
Gotcha.
It would cost several $1,000s to fix that, and the time it would take, and manpower. And
yeah, you'd have to drop people down in there.
Yes.
And everything.
You have to drain the filter, isolate it. Yes. Dig it all out.
So
you'd have to have a crane truck come in here.
Even though it's out of service, you just leave some water in it?
Well, we do. I have a trainee work with me, and that's his job. Every Wednesday, he comes up here, he dumps that water, puts it in there, and then puts fresh chlorinated water over the top of the media, just so it doesn't dry out. Yes, that's what he does every Wednesday.
So when you guys do come in for demolition, it'll be easier to come in. Because I know that stuff gets pretty much cemented in there after a while.
Yes, if you don't leave water on there, it'll be really hard, especially with all the lime that's in there too. But I noticed when I was cleaning out the reclaim tank, I see a lot of anthracite. It got worse and worse and worse, and I realized it was blowing up from this one, so we just took it out of service. Like I said, a nozzle has fell off underneath the sand, and it's just blowing a straight hole up as it's come. It's not regulated or whatever. It's just flowing free, out of a 2-inch pipe instead of valve back. But with the small flow, of 350,000 gallons, we can make it with 3 filters. Because these are rated for, I think, 1.5 million, all 4 of them.
All 4 of them? So you guys are like barely even running.
Exactly. Everything's set real low on all the chemical feeds.
So does the water come up from like close to the center down here?
If you open the isolation valve, which is open right now, 3 filters right here will equalize that one and it'll come up, yeah.
So the water just comes up on the side and then overflows into the filter?
What, when it's in operation?
Yes.
When it's in operation, I'll show you. I'll open this up. I'll show you. Let me drain it for you. I'll drain it first, then I'll open the inlet valve and you'll see where it comes in. And this one's a manual.
Oh wow, it drains fast.
Young guy. He forgets though. He always calls me and goes, what valve do I turn first? So like, you wrote it down. You can also backwash your filters, man. Blowers and everything else. But I wouldn't recommend it if you don't know what you're doing. I can do it for a bit. I'm draining that filter right now, I think.
Should drain it to 900 gallons a minute, you said?
No, it doesn't drain on 100 gallons. I don't know what it... No, I can't tell you that. I don't know what it drains.
That's pretty
but
fast.
when you turn on the backwash, it backwash is at a rate of 900 gallons per minute. But draining, I have no idea. Can't answer that. It drains pretty fast, yes.
Yeah, this is pretty cool.
But you can see the weirs, how they're all chunked up with anthracite and that's lime over the top of it. It's just a mess. Now, see that pipe right there? That's where I'm going to turn that open. That's where the water comes in. Let me close the... There's the inlet right there. If this was in operation, that's exactly where we'd come in at. This pipe, I'm standing right over it, actually.
Yeah.
If this was in operation, this is what it would do.
Yeah, I see that. There's like a hole in the middle. There.
Yes. See how it is? Yeah. It's been blown out. Yep. But now you got like, what is it, 240 gallons divided by 4. Each inlet valve, is taking that amount. So it's not very much right now, obviously. And what we do is usually fill it up to that concrete wall there and then turn the inlet valve off. And then once a week we do this.
Just give the new guy something to do.
The training. Like I said, he always forgets what valve to close. He's always yelling at me, and I'm down there. I'm like, close the isolation valve first, and then he remembers. He's written it down a couple of times. But he's more interested in Game Boy. He's into guns, tactical weapons, cigars. I mean, the kid's, he drives one of those Subarus with a big scoop on and all that. He's a young guy. He's nice. Hey, I like working with him because he'll go get lunch for us, and I love that. He does all the running for me,
Kind of like your own assistant.
He's supposed to cover for me while I'm on vacation. Good luck with that. I'm training him every Wednesday, so I'm thinking he'll be all right. Well, I don't really care because I'm on vacation.
RO plan.
You're not recording that, are you? Yeah, I do care.
The RO plan always take over, right?
What's that?
The RO plan.
Yeah, if he has a problem. You can delete that part of it.
This is
just
for
ignore that
us.
part.
For remember us.
Yes, for
Oh, okay, good.
we're probably not going to use any of it. So,
Yeah.
like as far as actual videos.
No, this is going on YouTube later.
Well, I did say he was a nice guy, didn't I? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a nice feature that the filters back work, because a lot of times, like this one will probably do it tonight even, while I'm not here. Could be 3 o'clock in the morning, could be midnight, could be 8 o'clock.
That's good. You don't have to worry about it.
Right. I can hear it from my house because you can hear all the equipment underneath this roof right here, the blowers and stuff like that, and the compressors. It uses more air than it does water. It uses a combination of water and air to basically expand the media, clean it,
Gotcha.
and then the dirty water goes in the weirs, goes into that reclaim tank, settles out, and then we pump the water back into the tank. We reuse it. We don't waste any of the water.
How long you guys do the filter to waste?
It drains down. It takes 15, like when this gets up to 10 feet, it'll drain down for 15 minutes, and it usually gets down to about 3 or 4 feet, and then the waste valve opens up, and then it all dumps over there.
And then
It goes down slowly for 15 minutes.
Everything that drains over here after backwash then goes back to the clarifier.
Yeah, we can run it. See where that brown pipe is right there, where the green pipe is, where you got your sample? The look, it's 3-inch brown pipe. It's kind of tan color.
Yeah.
That's reclaim. That's the water that I got a pump on right now, 2 of them. We're pumping out of that reclaim, and it's going into the aerator, clarifier. Well, it goes directly into the clarifier, not the aerator, because it's been treated once. It's reuse. So we just hit it with a little bit more chlorine and a little more lime. But right now, I'm probably recovering about 80 gallons a minute on the reclaim, because I got both pumps on. But so we don't waste any water.
Yeah.
And those 3 things you see on the side of the clarifier, they're blow-offs. When you feed lime, all that solids builds up, so eventually you got to blow some of it off, or you wouldn't have any clear water in your clarifier. It'd just build up. So what they do is every 4.5 hours they come on. All three of them come on for 1 minute. Keeps the solids at about 5%. If you fill an Imhoff cone, you know the solids stay towards the bottom after 5 minutes. That's what you're looking for. Anywhere between 3 and 10% seems like it's a good place to run the solids here. Every plant's different, but that's what they work here. So if I get 5% solids, I'm good.
Do you think that the cone-shaped clarifier is better than, say,
I've seen a round one. Like at Green Meadows, they're round concrete.
Because the ones I've seen are, I mean, it was in Florida. We're talking huge, but they were round like that.
The ones at Green Meadows are almost the size of that storage tank right there. The clarifiers are concrete and they're round. You know?
Okay.
And they have scrapers. I like these because they don't have a scraper on the bottom, any mechanical stuff like that.
So you don't have to worry about malfunction.
Exactly.
More maintenance.
Yes. You just have the 3 blow-offs. And even you can get by with 1 blow-off. You don't need all 3. I can get by with. And that's where they blow off into that square tank right there. And then twice a month, every other Wednesday, a tanker comes right back there to that pipe. And we pump out about 6 gallons of sludge. That brown pipe right there.
Okay.
Because you got to remove it. And he puts it on a field. It's a designated field. It's just lime water. It's not wastewater. So they can put it on like where they graze cattle and stuff like that, I guess, you know, up towards Arcadia or something like that. They put it on a field, spread it out. But mainly it's just it's almost like the reaction zone up there in the clarifier. It's just lime water, tan colored,
and
you know.
it's been treated, so it's not really going to be a problem.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not like wastewater, you know. I don't know exactly what they do with that.
Which they can't do.
Right. Now that's the fluoride. Normally that'd be like a day tank at bigger plants, but that's my bulk tank right there. That's 120 gallons. I get it filled once a year. And you can see where the light blue pipe goes up there. That's where it goes right into the spillway.
That box there?
Yeah, that box. That's the spillway. This is where the water comes from these filters, goes into that spillway, into the clarifier, or clear well, I'm sorry, I just spoke. And then after it gets up to 4.5 feet, one of those 2 pumps will come on and pump it to the storage tank. And like you said, it's mainly for contact time, for the fluoride and the chlorine. Oh, that's another thing. When we run free chlorine, these filters, you can see all the way, they'll look just like that even when they're 10 feet, really crystal clear, because it bleaches out all the color, because you're using 3 times the amount and the filters run a lot longer because it'll dissolve a lot of anytime you add ammonia, it really disturbs the turbidity, and it really shortens the run time on the filters.
Do you guys have a problem with turbidity with any of your
Not
wells?
here, but no, not here because we run such a low flow. Our turbidity leaving the plant's usually a 0.02, 0.03. We can't go over a 1.0, but we never get that high ever. When you backwash a filter, the turbidity will spike a little bit on the turbidity meter right off this wall right here, but it still stays low. It's a temporary spike. I mean, it'll go up to like 0.07, 0.08, something like that. Way under, yeah. I've never had to worry about turbidity breakthrough here. I mean, it can happen. I've read it in Sacramento, but I've never seen it in the 20 years I've worked at a plant.
Are the contact chambers always enclosed like that?
Yeah. Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay.
I'm only going by the plants that I've worked at and what I know from the county. You know, I would think they would have to be.
Just to keep from...
Because that's the final stage before it goes into the storage tank. As you know, these filters are open, so birds can sit here. You know.
Yeah.
It can happen. Clarifier too. There can be blackbirds up there. That's all. When I first started in business, that always freaked me out, how the filters were wide open and the clarifier, because animals can get to them.
Well, that's true.
But now the clear wells, I've always seen them as a concrete containment area like that, fully enclosed. Because there, what you have to do, if you had to go into that vault right there, you would have to run back T samples and get it cleared by the health department before you put it back in service. If you had to go in there to do some work, a maintenance guy, you wouldn't be able to turn the plant back on until you ran back T samples and cleared that. What you do is dump a bunch of HTH in there, you know, and flush it out. But as long as nobody goes in there, you're good to go. The health department comes by once a month, you know, they collect a sample at the raw. And then they do the remote samples out in the system they collect for chlorine residuals.
Is there any reason that you would have to open that?
No.
Just maybe...
Oh, yes.
Standard maintenance on some kind of...
I've worked at a plants where they had to shut down the clear well, and sometimes you can bypass them for a short time. But yeah, they had to clean them out, but then we had to go in there because they had hatch covers, and we had to go in there and spread HTH and get back T samples on them and clear it. But that's a rarity. Here, there's nothing there. It's just water going in there. You wouldn't have to do any maintenance, I wouldn't think. Unless the wall or something cracked.
Is it just a big tank? Or
yeah,
does
just
it
a big
have,
tank. You don't even have baffles. No.
Gotcha.
Some of them have baffles. This one doesn't. That helps mix the ammonia. A lot of times the clear well, that's where you feed ammonia, but they changed that a few years ago. Now ammonia is added up by the clarifier. But for years it was added in there. Because you'd always want to run free chlorine on your filters, which makes sense because it's a stronger disinfectant. And that's how I used to, when I started in the business, that's how it always was. So you'd always want to keep your filters really, disinfected. But now, because of THMs, they move it up headworks of the plant. They changed that rule, I don't know, a few years ago.
Have you ever seen a lot of birds around?
No. Well, I mean, occasionally I've seen a bird land on this railing, yeah.
But you've never seen like a fox or anything to maybe concern about?
No, nothing like that. No.
So I know the one other plant.
I think because of the noise and that up there, they don't like to come up there, with that mixer running. Now here it's pretty quiet, and I could see a bird setting up here,
The other plant I had worked at, they had some kind of noise machines around.
There you go.
To try and
they
keep
could string
away.
wire, and stuff like that if they had a big problem. Yeah, exactly. This is a very, very basic plant. And like I said, after the filters, it goes through the clear well, and then those pumps alternate. There's a float, a sonar in here, just like there is here. Mm-hmm. And once the transmitter sees that it hits 4.5 feet, either that pump or the other pump will come on and alternates. Relay inside the MCC room. That just runs by itself. I never have to deal with that.
And is the sonar better than having a float?
I think so.
More efficient?
Obviously, they use them a lot more than floats, because floats can always get caught up, or they malfunction, or they can build up with lime or something like that. See, it just bounces the signal down. It's
and it never
recorded.
touches the water, so you don't have to worry about line buildup.
Every now and then they have to replace them, but that's few and far between. These things have been there since the filters were installed back in the early 90s. So, they're pretty well foolproof. But yeah, I think that's the way to go. Plus, like I said, all these levels are recorded on your SciTech in there. You can see the levels. But as long as the filter's working auto, that's a lifesaver, because you don't have to be here, or you don't have to backwash the filter before you leave.
Do you guys record your head loss? Do you have them?
When this gets up to 10 feet, that's when it automatically kicks in.
No, I was wondering if you guys recorded that on.
No. That's not on a trend, on nothing. Now we do record for a report when a filter actually backwashes. It goes on the DEP report. Some days you don't have any, some days you have two. But the actual head loss, no, it's not recorded on anything. Not here, anyways.
How often do you redo the filters? You said these have been like this since you got here?
No, they put anthracite in here, replenished the anthracite about 10 years ago. When the county first, I've been here 11 years with the county. Mm-hmm. They did it either the first or second year I was here. They had this big bag, and it's on a crane truck, and we got in there, and there's a rope on the end of it. You just loosen it up, and it dumps the anthracite.
You didn't take anything off the top? You just put more anthracite?
Just add it to it.
Okay.
We haven't did that since. Some plants do it every year. They bring 50 bags, 50-pound bags, they dump it in there. And then they turn on the backwash and it'll all level out. But I used to do that at Green Meadows. We used to get in there, guys would throw bags down to you, cut them open and just spread them around. But here, no. And I don't anticipate them doing anything. You got to remember, with a year out, they're not going to do a whole lot at this plant. It wouldn't be cost effective.
Really
right. Even if something really happened, they might just go ahead and turn the plant off if something major happened. We were just one day away from the plant being shut down, We have, a well situation. We have that well right there has high chlorides. And if we lose any of the other 7 wells, they won't blend. And we'll have to shut the plant down because the chlorides will go above 250. Right now, they're at around almost 200. Because it has a lot of salt water in it. Because it's so deep. It's 600 feet deep.
That one's doing.
Chlorides on that are 520. And the raw, but they combine with all these other little wells, and it neutralizes those chlorides. But if we lose one of those wells, then I call them blend wells, we'll be in trouble.
And all the wells are on site?
Just 2 of them. That one, and that one. The rest of them are in the neighborhood, but most of the plants, they have a well field, because they're out in the country, I was telling Mario, and they have them right there on site. But these happen to be all over the neighborhood. There's one across there. You can see CVS store in a alleyway. There's 3 or 4 over there. There's a couple on Pondella and a couple on Hancock Bridge Parkway, and that's all 8 of them. They're scattered throughout the neighborhood. But you got to remember, this plant was built in the 50s. And that's when they were drilled. 57, 58.
Probably wasn't here then.
None of this was. This is the newest thing. That building, I think, is original. That used to be the high service room, office, everything. That one building right there with the roof. It was ancient. And like that well was drilled, I think, 1957 or something like that. There used to be a well right behind it. See how they abandoned it? It's just grass behind there. There used to be a well right there. Last year when you guys came, or when the other students came, there was a well right behind that. They dumped a bunch of concrete grout down it to cap it, and they cut off the pipe, and they put sod. They did that to 6 wells here.
Why?
That one, it was only drilled 30 feet, and the pump was sitting right in the rock, and it was getting hit with back T samples. We could never clear back T's.
So it was just causing more problems than anything.
And a couple of wells even had fecal coliform. Not total, but fecal. That one had total. But once it goes fecal, I don't know, man. It's probably best to just shut off the well. And that's what they do. And a lot of them were abandoned, I'm sorry, to get back to your point, because they weren't pumping enough water. They were running dry. I mean, they were valved back to pump 10, 15 gallons, and they wouldn't even pump that, so they just shut them off. I mean, our biggest well is only 75 gallons. When I worked at Green Meadows, they were either 250, that were the shallow wells, gallons per minute, or 500. And we had like 30 of them, 30 wells. This plant is real easy to run. You could probably be trained to run this plant. You know, I mean, you might not be able to catch some of the things that break down, but you could run the plant pretty easy after a month, a couple weeks training.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Engineering's not working out for me.
Yes.
I
I was going to tell you guys, if you fail out your class, they're always hiring a trainee. You know. Matter of fact, they had to get rid of, I think, a couple of trainees at the Pinewoods RO plant because they didn't get their Sacramentos done. They had, I don't know, a year to do them, and I guess they just never done.
What is the Sacramento?
They're inside the room there. I'll show it to you before you leave. Mario was looking at them earlier. All trainees start out with them. They're 2 volumes, open book tests. I think there's like 15 to 18 tests on each volume. You send them to Sacramento. They get them graded. You get them back. Then you can go take your state exam. And I think after a year experience, you can get a C license. Yeah. I have an A, and I was telling Mario, just because of the money. You can work here as a C operator, but it'd be crazy. Why not get an A and get more money? Hourly wage. I mean, you're doing the same thing. I mean, what's that?
Might as well, right?
Yep. Okay. I thought I was not going to talk too much, but I've been gabbing pretty much the whole time.
It's all right.
It's a lot easier with 3 guys than it is 15 or 20 like last time. Oh, yeah. Half of them just stood down on the ground when it was fine. You know, I could tell. You know, it's fine. That's how I... Exactly. Half of them were 50 feet away.
I always tried to field you from only 8 people fit up there.
Yeah. Now, normally you go to like Green Meadows or something, that pipe would be, see how that column's standing up? The pipe would be that big. You see, they valve these back to 2-inch well. See the pipe?
Oh, yeah.
To see the column coming up, that's how big a normal pipe would be. Yeah, you know, flowing 500 gallons a minute. You know, these have been valved back quite a bit. That one only does about 10 gallons a minute.
Yeah, I saw your board.
Yeah.
It's 75.
It's not even, you can't be cost, this plant can't be cost effective. With the energy, you know, for 10 gallons. But until they get the transmission on. Pumps in here, I pump. Like I said, it pumps it up to there. I drip every couple of seconds. Got a little day tank. What I do is every 3 or 4 days I'll show you this. That's the day tank. See that 35.4? That's 35 pounds. That's the 35. Right at 3 gallons in there. That'll last. When it gets down to about 23 pounds, I go ahead and fill it back, top it back up to 35. So that'll last probably, next time I fill that up to 35 will be like Monday, maybe Tuesday. but I record that reading every day. Like when I come in tomorrow, it'll say maybe 34 something. It's
Just write it down in the morning.
Just write it down. You have your start time at 7 and then your stop. Like on all your meter reads, everything else. Sometimes it feeds about 2, maybe 3 pounds at the most in a 24-hour period. The pump's in there underneath a real small, tiny pump. It's all self-contained unit. They just set it down on the slab and hooked up the piping. But you don't want to get that stuff on you.
No, I wouldn't think so.
You want to wear good rubber gloves or whatever. I don't work out of maintenance guys. It's a weak acid, but if you keep it on your skin for too long, it can, over time, I guess, soften your bones. You don't want that. This is just a pipe that supplies all the water to the little blow-offs, the lime mixer and all that. Plant use. We record that. Same time we record fluoride. We use about 50,000 gallons a day. It just recirculates through the plant. It's at 2.6 feet. When it gets up to 4.5 feet, one of these pumps will come on. Whatever one they come on.
I think we might have heard one.
Yeah, you should have, because it just went off 0.6 ago. You can hear them starting up.
And only one of those comes on when it gets
Alternate. Once in a while, maybe once or twice since I've been here in 12, 13 years, I've come in, this whole area is flooded with water because they got airlock. I just have to open up to see the spigots on the top of the pumps. For some reason, that pipe got airlocked, and it just kept pumping, man. It just kept pumping. Water everywhere. Oh, what I mean by airlock, it didn't pump, and it went over the overflow right there.
Okay.
And that's a blank drain. The water was
Yeah,
everywhere.
I can't see much of that.
Then I called the operator that was monitoring overnight. I said, "Why didn't you call me?" He goes, "I just thought it was a computer glitch." I said, "No, it wasn't a computer glitch." I said, "The tank never filled up because it overflowed."
That overflow tank doesn't seem good.
Right. There's probably a couple inches of water here. That pond was full. It was just pouring out of there when I got in. I could hear it when I walked in the gate. I'm like, "What? That sounds like a waterfall." I come back here, but that only happened once or twice since I've been here. It doesn't happen very often. How it got airbound, I don't know. All you do is lead off the air, off the spigot.
And those spigots were put in there. You just kind of drill the hole.
Most pumps have them.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, when it's running, you go water. You can get water to shoot out. It's not full of mud now. Most pumps have this, but yeah. You guys, you know what baking soda looks like? Baking powder. That's basically the consistency of that hydrated lime. There's two types of lime that I know in a water plant. Quick lime, which has little tiny pebbles about the size of this, like this. And they slake it. This is just like baking powder, and we just have to have a mixer. Just dump it in with an auger, it mixes with water, and then we pump it up to the clarifier. This is a lot better because you don't have to have a $10,000 slaker. That makes it look like almost like toothpaste. Consistency here is just kind of like water.
It's kind of like a slurry.
Yeah. Yeah. Quick lime is. And they got another thing called industrial lime. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is. Drops down there on a timer, comes on, feeds about 5 ounces of lime in there, mixes with water, comes out with that green hose into the side tank right there. And it's sucked up by a lime inductor. See, there's no pump or nothing on there. It's all done by water running through there, it creates a vacuum. You can come in here and look. I have a training to do that. the pressure, this will overflow. See, it's backing up right now, see it? Without
yeah.
that booster pump, they installed that a couple years ago. But it's loud. And we have a like this to reuse some of the sludge in the clarifier. This helps you just don't use as much lime. All the plants have this. They might have a bigger 2-inch line. This one has 1-inch line. This is great. No pump, no nothing. You can tell by the pressure. Turn that pump off, the pressure's on its way back. It's great. Once a month we clean out all the hoses. Put them in acid, yep. That's called an acid bath right there where the concrete is. We take all these hoses, we got spares, so we take these off, put the spare ones in, and we put all them in acid. All these little parts right here. Because this calcifies up. Over a month, I mean, it'll be down to about like that in there. We dump all that stuff in that acid bag. I need another guy. He comes help me once every Thursday. All the way up to the center of the clarifier. It takes us a couple hours. It's not a great job to do, but it's got to be done. That's why it's nicer to work in an RO plant. You don't have to deal with the lime. I haven't lately, but every now and then I come in and there'll be a hole in that lay flat or blue pipe or something. Be squirting out, you know. That's why we got duct tape on a lot of this stuff. That works wonders. But we have a spare on all those. Just switch it out. So we're not down all that long. While we're cleaning the other ones, we're already back to the lime. So we probably only got the lime off for 30 minutes, 35 minutes. And that takes us the rest of the time to clean up everything. We just do it in the morning when it's not too hot. And the other guy was about 50-some years old. Please, thanks. As you notice, we got one off. Running that one. You can run either one. You can open these up, equalize them. Right now they're both at around 46 inches.
You just have to have a permit for this?
The tanks are permitted, yes.
Okay.
DEP comes around and looks at them like once a year. Some lady comes around with the water superintendent.
So the concrete?
Yes, concrete containment. If these broke, this would fill. This would hold it. Yes.
And then it out.
You have to have those. And the two pumps are in here. We only have one. When I go to a free flush, I'll fill them all the way up to the top. But normally I only fill them about 1,000 gallons, 500 gallons per tank. And I get that about once every 6 weeks, I'm thinking, something like that. When it gets down to a little bit lower than 30 inches on that tape I ordered, it goes up to like 76 inches or whatever. I order 1,000 gallons every time, which is 500 gallons in each tank. Because I'm only using 30 gallons a day. If the sun hits on it, it starts out at 12%, but it can go weeks by the sun constantly hitting on it. So when I order lime, I have to, when I order chlorine, I have to lower the